Hello everyone, welcome to Sack Lunch News. Alright ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sack Lunch News. Finally, I get to do another video on the Alabama governor's race because finally the Democrats have decided to finally get out and qualify. The deadline was the 28th of January. Chris Countryman did not qualify. However, there are some new qualifiers and there are some new candidates. There's not only Chad Chigmartin anymore. There's not only Yolanda Flowers, but there is now Arthur Kennedy, Patricia Jamison Salter, Malika Sanders Fortier, and Doug Smith. Today's video will be on Doug Smith. So, here we go. The Opelika Observer, February 2nd, 2022, did an interview with Doug New Blue Smith, who qualified for governor at the Democratic headquarters in Montgomery. Thank fuck for that, because I thought the Democrat side of the governor's race would only have two people. The walking sack of shit known as Yolanda Flowers, who wants to teach your white kids to hate themselves simply because they're white, and Chad Chigmartin, who appears to have a gambling addiction and really wants to get casinos in the state of Alabama. Why, I don't know. After qualifying, he stated there are two killers stalking the land, hyperinflation and COVID-19. Obviously a Democrat. He's bringing up COVID again. He claims the Ivey administration can't handle either of them. His thoughts on Kay Ivey: he states Kay Ivey has blood on her hands for allowing COVID into the state to begin with. As though there's a front door to the state of Alabama where she just said, "Come on in, COVID. It's all good here." But let's continue. States Alabama's 17,000 alleged COVID deaths are her fault, and I do mean alleged deaths directly responsible by COVID. I don't think ever hit 17,000. I think there were underlying conditions that COVID didn't help in. They did not die because of COVID, they just died with COVID, but mainly because of their underlying condition. Claims she fed inflation when productivity dropped 9%. Well, Doug, do you think productivity fell due to the lockdowns from COVID? I do. And you seem pro-lockdown there, Doug. So how would your lockdown have impacted productivity in Alabama differently? He also stated Kay Ivey jacked up gas prices by raising the gas tax, which fueled inflation. States all this comes on top of Alabama's real wage falling since Bob Riley took office in 2002. Since 2002, Alabama's GDP has only grown 0.84%, less than a third the national average. States Alabama's consumer price index is at a whopping 7.8%, way above the national rate, and by July 4th, 2022 could be over 10%. Also, the Culverhouse Data Center at the University of Alabama states Alabama GDP fell 2.7%, but that does come from the University of Alabama, so I don't trust it, being the fact that the University of Alabama is the worst in the country at everything except football. So take that with a grain of salt. Smith said he welcomes newcomer Yolanda Flowers to the race with her biblical take on politics. Of course, an old crow Dem like Smith would openly welcome a known pro-CRT, militant Black Lives Matter supporter, and a known racist, and not only is she pro-CRT, like I stated before, but if you see her tweets, she has no fucking clue what it actually is. So she's a stupid retard for a fucking racist. Smith also makes the false claim Ivey is removing people's right to vote because of voter ID laws to force you to prove you are who you say you are. It's not taking away the votes of legal citizens, but with Smith being close to dying, I guess he doesn't care and is trying to destroy Alabama before he finds himself at the gates of hell. Smith is by far miles ahead of all other Democrat candidates, and May's primary isn't that far off. Some personal background information on Doug Smith. I'm not going to mention everything, because go look him up yourself. But here's a few things. He was the executive officer of Civil Affairs Command of the U.S. Army Reserve, drafted and published through the Regional Planning and Economic Development Act, started the Lister Hill Healthcare Clinic that is today the River Region Health Clinic with 16 locations across middle Alabama. He promises to run a purely Democratic campaign as much as possible, accepting no personal, corporate, or PAC contributions and only spending his own personal money, which I'm sure he probably has a lot of, since he's probably been sucking at the teat of the Alabama populace since he was in his 40s or 50s, because I think he's around 80 now, which is why he's close to rapping on the gates of hell any moment now. But with that, I will leave you and hope you go look into Doug Smith yourself and find out, is he just another backstabbing shit turd Democrat, or is there some slight promise to him?
Piña colada, alcohol,